Okay, hello everyone. Happy Monday. I'm going to try and turn my computer down a little bit because I keep hearing all of my notifications come through. So if you have something to say, make sure you put it in the chat because I'm going to basically make sure my entire computer is quiet. But hi, for those of you that don't know me, I feel like everybody does. My name is Tara Landis, and I'm excited to share. I mentioned this kind of before we started recording, but this is going to be like a very I was gonna say quick and dirty, and then I was like, I don't know, people might get the wrong idea. But really that's what it is. I know last time when Shannon spoke about social media things, we talked a lot about figuring out what your pillars are and kind of how to get a good plan for your content and how to utilize it for yourself, for your business, to build your brand, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm just going to kind of give you some practical tips and just some of the ways that I use my social media to build my business. I'm going to primarily talk about Instagram because that's what I use the most. I do use Facebook some. I'm not on TikTok. I know everyone says that you got to get on TikTok, but I don't think I'm going to do it. So this is going to be mostly relevant to Instagram stuff. And I really am just going to kind of take you through and do like show you guys, not show you guys, but with you guys some of the things that I do on a regular basis that I feel like have really helped me to actually use my Instagram to grow my business. How many of you guys want to utilize social media to grow your business? You can just raise your hand, you can nod your head, whatever. Okay. So the thing that I always tell people too when they start is it's like you don't have to use social media to build your business. I mean, when I started my business and so many other people on here who started way before me, I wasn't really a thing. I mean, we had Facebook, we just barely had Instagram, but like I maybe got on there once a week. Like it was not the main form of communication. Whereas now, as you guys know, it's where everyone is shopping, it's where everyone is looking for opinions, it's where everybody's looking for advice, all that kind of stuff. And so it makes sense to use social media to grow your business, to build your business. Over the last, I would say, I don't know, over the last like 18 months to 2 years, really tried to kind of like niche down what I was sharing on social media and kind of come up with my own pillars and how I was going to put that into process in my business. So I'm just going to kind of go through a couple things that I do and maybe some tips. And these might be things that you already do to utilize social media, but they might not. So my hope is that you can get something out of here. So let me just pull up my notes really quick. So, obviously, you guys know social media changes a lot. Like, we always have these different algorithms. And do we use hashtags? Do we use keywords? And if you don't even know what I'm talking about there, that's okay. I promise it's not over your head. We'll get there. But anyway, it changes a lot. And so sometimes it can feel overwhelming to feel like you need to keep up and figure out, well, what's everyone doing? Well, what's the trendy thing? Well, how can I do this? And I want to encourage you to not always just like attached to the next best thing. Okay. The reality is, if you want to use your social media to grow, you need to share Arbonne. Okay. You need to share yourself. You need to make sure you have all those pillars that Shannon talked about. You need to get organized, plan your content, all that kind of stuff. But figure out what that is and then just share it. Now, I'm not saying that having, you shouldn't have a strategy. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use hashtags or do things, trending audio, things like that. Those are all really great things. But if that kind of stuff makes you feel overwhelmed, just get on and more frequently and more consistently start sharing Arbonne, why you love it about your life, whatever. Know and listen to your audience. So this is a huge thing. And I feel like so much of the time we will get on social media and we'll think, oh my gosh, like I just shared my greens yesterday, or I just showed my fizz yesterday. Who the heck cares? You should be showing it every single day. If you look at the people who are really, really growing and building their businesses right now on social media, they talk about Arbonne all the freaking time. And here's the thing though, that's not all they talk about. Okay. So the people who have a real presence on social media weave Arbonne in all day, every day. And it doesn't even seem like all day, every day, because you just feel like you're a part of their life. You feel like you're a part of their daily routine. So when you guys are thinking about how to show up on social media, think about all the people that you follow and who you engage with and who you are always responding with and commenting and, responding to their story or whatever that is. What is it about their profile that you like? What is it about them that you like? Why do you keep going back? We all have them. We all have those like, 5 people that will be like, oh, I wonder what so-and-so's up to today. Because at least I do. Like there's like 5 to 10 people where I'm like, oh yeah, let's see what so-and-so's up to today. because you're just curious, because they pique your curiosity. So you need to start thinking like your follower. Okay. So obviously you guys were able to come up with, what's your brand? Who are the people you want to reach? Who's your audience? Okay. Now put yourself in their shoes. What do they want to see from you? How do you want to feel if you were watching yourself? I know it's kind of weird to put yourself in that position, but if you were sitting back and you were watching your stories, how would you want to feel when you're watching them? I suggest that you do that sometimes. Does anybody else like creep on themselves sometimes? Like go through your story and be like, how did it sound there? Like, did that sound weird? Was that a thing? Like, it's not weird to do that, you guys, because it's almost like practicing. So when I started my coaching job, so I coach group fitness classes, and you get up in front of this room full of people and you're giving them direction, instruction, you have to demo movements for them and stuff like that. When I was preparing for that job, I would be in front of my mirror and like say out loud what I was going to say and how I was going to approach people. Or I would write it all down in front of me, and then I would read it in front, like I would record myself, and then I'd listen to it back and be like, ooh, where could I have made that better? What could I do? Now, I'm not saying obsess over this. I am not saying like you need to do this all the time. Oh my gosh, Allison, do people not replay their own stories? I mean, yeah, it sounds like we all do. And here's the thing, you don't have to feel bad about it, because we should be doing this. Okay. We should see how we sound, because there's been times where I've gotten back on there and been like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that next time. Or maybe that was a little too much. So go back, listen to yourself, and take it as a learning experience of how you can get better and how you can show up better. Your followers on social media aren't just a number. And I know for the longest time, like there was this big stigma and this thing of like, how many followers can I get? And it's like, okay, well, how many followers does this person have? Okay, that means she's legit. Or like, oh, that person only has 1,000. Well, that's not really anything. Oh, she has 10,000. Okay, she must have a little bit more. Right now, the trends and things in social media, and even for big companies, they're looking for micro influencers. Okay, so they're looking for the people like you and me. Now, there is like a little bit more of a requirement, and um Allison, what a life. I'm grateful. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked from the chat. But the big companies are utilizing people like you and me who have some sort of presence on social media, but who aren't like celebrities or bigwigs or influencers, because over the last couple of years that has shifted, where now companies want to work with people who are just authentic and down to earth and have a bigger reach. Because here's the thing, a lot of people who have like these smaller followings, now small and large to all of us is going to be different. Someone might be like, oh my gosh, you have 2,500 followers, that's so much. Whereas someone else might be like 20,000, that's a lot. But right in between there, they're looking for these people, because normally when you have a smaller group of followers, it's more likely that those followers are going to do something because of following you. Does that make sense? So it's like if I had like 1,000,000 followers or something, there's going to be a really small pool of people, unless I'm like, I don't know, who's like a mega influencer. Who's that girl that drinks like the Diet Coke and rum? What's her name? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? No, nobody knows. Okay, that's good. Maybe someone will put in the chat. But there's this really big influencer who she had, Krista Horton. Yes, her. She like, what is it like? I don't even know what she calls it. Malibu Diet. That's what it is. And she has come up with like drink lines, clothing lines, partnerships, brand, like so many different things. And yes, people are obsessed with her. Oh yeah, I just realized. Of course, Shannon knows. And then Alana's like, here's one for my age, because there are some of us that are not in our 20s. But all that to say, if you have like 2,000 followers, you're probably going to have a larger percentage of people who actually buy into what you're doing, if that makes sense. And so think about that when you're posting, when you're sharing, when you're doing all these things. Okay, so know and listen to your audience in the same way that you would if you were in a regular setting. If you were out with your girlfriends and you're chatting and talking, like treat your social media like that. Yes, again, I'm going to keep reiterating and going back to the point that like we do need a plan. We do need the pillars. We do need we need that strategy. We need the organization. We need to build our brand. But aside from all of that, like just hop on social media and act like you're talking to a friend. Most of the people that I follow, like the people that I come back to and I'm checking the stories and I want to see their stuff, it's because when I get on there, I feel like I know them. I feel like we're friends, even though we've probably never spoken. I might have sent them, respond to their stories sometimes and like pretend like we're friends. We're not. But that's what you want people to feel like when they come to your page, because then when it does come time that you're talking to them about Arbonne or you're talking to them about whatever, it feels so natural because you're friends, you know each other, you already have that relationship. And I think so much on social media, we always go through this like process in our minds of like, okay, I need to build a relationship first. And when's the right time to do X, Y, and Z? When do I just reach out? Blah, blah, blah. And you can cut all that out. Like you can get rid of all that weirdness if you just show up that way authentically all the time on your stories. Like if you're just that person all the time. So it's not like if they're following you and they're opting in, like I think, oh gosh, my boss at the gym, he actually said this one time because I was talking about how I can mix like gym with Arbonne, and he was just like, listen, if someone's following you, they're opting into what you have to offer. Okay. If they don't want it, they will unfollow, they will block, they will mute, they will do any of that stuff. So as soon as they opt in, or as soon as they follow you, they're opting into what you have to say. Okay. So pay attention to that. And when you see all, especially if you get like an influx of followers, maybe you had like a reel that a bunch of people were, watching or something, and you got, a bunch of new followers. Now, for some of you, 10 new followers might be a lot. For others of you, 100 might be a lot. But when something like that happens, get on your page even more frequently. Show off your day a little bit. Show stuff with your kids. I get so much interaction when I'm sharing like crazy stuff with my 4 kids running around or just like keeping it real. And so many people, again, who I see really growing and exploding their businesses on social media with Arbonne particularly, is it's not that everything that they're showing on Instagram or whatever is a sales pitch. And it's not just showing the facts. It's not just dropping like boom, boom, boom. Now, are those things important? Yes. And that kind of goes back to the strategy, the branding, the content, all those things, having that stuff organized. But they're also showing the fact that they made a triple fizz and it just exploded everywhere. Or they're showing their fizz that their kid guzzled down and they're 2 years old and they really shouldn't have that. So like have that happy mix of things. And I think so many times we think that this is obvious and like, well, duh, of course we're going to do that. But I can't tell you how many times I've shared Arbonne stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then a couple days go by and I'm like, wow, I didn't even post like a picture of my fizz today. I didn't do anything today. And it's because in the back of our minds, we think that we're being repetitive and we think, oh, I just shared this yesterday. I just did. But the reality is different people see your stories all the time. You're going to notice if you go, so all of you guys know how to like swipe up and see who's viewing your stories, right? Like this is old news for everyone. Okay. So one thing, I guess I'll get into like some of the things that I actually do with my social media now. I'm going to pull up my Instagram just so that I do it. So one thing that I do, oh gosh, now I've got people's reels playing in the background. So one thing that I do is if I know that I have a story that I saw a ton of people responded, or maybe it's more viewers than normal, just like tons of viewers, but I know that I'm not going to have the time to sit down and respond to all these people, I will just literally take screenshots, scroll, screenshot of the viewers, scroll, screenshot of the viewers. I'll just keep going until I get all the way down, especially if you notice. So I don't know about you guys, but every once in a while I'll post something different and I notice like, wow, who are all these random people who are viewing so much of my story? Like every once in a while I get this like pop through of random people. When you get, you can check that in archive too. See, Shannon's thinking of a better way for you to do this. I have done that before, but my brain doesn't do that automatically. So I forget. So I know that you can do that. You can go into your archive and you can look through. My brain doesn't do that automatically. So the screenshots works for me. If you guys went through my photo albums, like the amount of unorganized screenshots of messages and contacts and all that kind of stuff. So if you have a good system that works better for you, you should definitely use that. But for me, I will just scroll up and I will take screenshots to when I know a time when I'm going to have time to go and respond to all of these messages. Because you guys, depending on what you post or when you post it, so many people are falling through the cracks. Another thing that I want to encourage you to do if you're not already doing this, which for a lot of you on here, this is like a duh, you already do this. You've been doing this for forever, but there might be some of you on here who don't do it. Take a social media break for 24 hours. It helps boost your stories and your posts and stuff when you come back on. So not only is it just good for you, like to have that break of getting away from social media, but if you let all of your stories expire for 24 hours and then you hop back on, it shows them people's algorithms faster, like you're going to be in there. The other thing that you can do, just another little tip, when you first get on, post something that is a poll or a question box or see Heather, it'll be easy for you. Like something super interactive, not about Arbonne, like something super interactive so that you have people as soon as they get there, they're responding right away. And then I always pair that with something Arbonne related afterwards, because you're boosting all these people interacting and having activity with you because they're looking at your story after you haven't been there for a while. They're voting or they're whatever, polling, whatever it is that you have. And then you throw in some Arbonne stuff. Okay. So you've got them, you've engaged them. Now they're seeing all the things that you want them to see as far as your business goes. So that's a tip if you're not doing that already. Another thing to do, and this is something that I'm trying to get better at, and sorry, I'm trying to scroll here just so that I can do it while I'm talking to you. This is something I need to get better at, but 2 little hidden spots to look for things. And again, these might be things that you already do, but just for me, it's things that I forget. Check your general messages and your requests in your inbox, because your primary is where all of your messages are, like people that you're friends with, blah blah blah. I can't tell you how many times I've had people either in my general or my request box who have asked for a sample, who like maybe weren't following me or have asked for something. It's happened to me numerous times, and I don't see it till months later because that's not something that I regularly check, because it's just not as like in your face. So go through and check that kind of stuff. Another thing that I have been doing too, so obviously when you are looking at people's stories, that's where most people are spending their time now, is just scrolling through stories. And if you notice, most of the time, the people that you interact with the most are always at the front of your story. So you're seeing the same stuff all the time. So I want to challenge you guys to like scroll through like all the way over until you get and you start seeing people who you don't normally see or you don't normally engage with, because all the time we're talking about how we can utilize our social media and utilize the audience that we already have to our advantage. I mean, the reality is most of you guys on here probably have at least a couple hundred or maybe a couple thousand different followers on here, but you're only interacting and engaging with the same ones. And when you are only interacting and engaging with them, they're the only ones that are seeing your stuff. Okay, so scroll through all those people that are on stories and go to the end and start interacting and engaging with those people. Okay, let me just look at the rest of my notes. One second here. Okay, so I don't know if you, well, does it matter if you have a private account versus public? If being migrant versus one, have to make the leap to creator or the other option. My account is public. I probably can't answer that. It probably does have to be public, is my guess. I'm pretty sure it does. And Jamie just put a really great point too, but save those people to a hot, warm, or cold folder. So that's another great way that you can get organized. And I can't remember who did a training on that. I think it was Kaylin Kukuska, but you can actually create folders in your Instagram. If you like go to your profile and then you go to your saved stuff, you can create different folders in there and organize all of these people who you're interacting and who you are engaging with. And so obviously you can do the normal stuff in there. You can save audio, you can save different reels that you like, you can save posts, but you can also save people in there. And so I've even gone as far to utilize different folders just to have like a PC folder so that I can go in there and just see all my PCs right there and utilize it to a recipe folder too. Kaylin's training, I believe, was from Maui one year. I believe it was like from 2 or 3 years ago. So we'll have to look that up, but I believe that's what it was from. I know we shared it though after the fact, or she shared it, like either we did or she did. So we'll have to find that. Another thing to do if you're not already doing this is saving trending sounds. And again, for a lot of you guys, and especially the young people on here, you're like, yeah, duh, that's what we're doing. But I know for me personally, like I will see reels that I like and I'll like the ideas and stuff, and then I'll save the trending sound and then I wait too long and it's no longer trending. So if you have a sound that is trending and you like it, just prop up your camera and do something. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, because the reality is if it's a trending audio, it's going to be put into the algorithm anyway, and it's going to get more views and stuff. So what you're doing it, I mean, I'm not saying like be stupid and don't have, some sort of valuable content, but don't overthink it, because I have done that so many times. And I have so many good like audio and things saved in my folder right now that I'll probably never use because they're no longer trending. Okay, so let's see. Yes, that's the other part that she just put in there, trending with less than 1,000. Because and that number goes like that moves quickly. So if you find sounds and audio like that is trending with less than 1,000 uses, like just prop up your camera, do whatever you need to do and get that reel posted. Okay, let me see what else. So there's a lot of other like actually, I'm not even going to get into that. I had some notes for something else, but I'm not going to get into that. Let me see. Okay. Posting consistently. I feel like we all know this. I think like recently I've been talking to a lot of people who are trying to do some sort of like, post this many days in a row for this many days, whatever it is, or 30 reels in 30 days or whatever that is. And if you're someone who's trying to get consistent, but that feels overwhelming, I want to just challenge you to, what if you just posted 2 or 3 a week for a month just to get on the consistency train? So it doesn't necessarily like mean, oh my gosh, you have to post every day for a certain amount of time, because I know for some people that's really overwhelming. But if you want to grow your following and you actually want people to be engaged, then get on some sort of consistent schedule. And that's something I myself am still working on. Okay, so just like actual practical things that I do to actually use my social media to turn it into clients. First of all, I'm sure everyone is already doing this, but if you're not already someone who uses recommended carts all the time, what are you doing? What are you doing? Use recommended carts. Because I can't tell you the amount of times that I have had barely any conversation with someone. I mean, maybe a little bit of a conversation, maybe they asked a question, but then it's like they ghost me, whatever. But I did send them a recommended cart. Randomly, they place the order. Like randomly, it'll pop up and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I sent them that recommended cart forever ago. And I say that as we're talking about social media. Sorry, I just am noticing all the questions coming in. What have you been worried to grow a following due to creepers? I think that has to be something of your own conviction. Like, I feel like if I got to a point where I felt like that was an issue, then I would have to reassess and do that. I think that you can put good boundaries on it. Like maybe if you're someone who that really bothers, then you just have to choose the kind of content that you are posting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't be posting a bunch of thirst trap pictures, which I don't think you would do anyway. But like, if you don't want the attention, don't put things up that are gonna like draw more the attention that you don't want. Does that make sense? And if someone comes in, just block them. Like just, block them, move on. Let me scroll up here. How do you find trending audio with less than 1,000 views? So I just go that little trending arrow or whatever. Or did somebody already answer this? Sorry. Oh, she already answered it. Sorry, I read it last. Do you worry about your kids being public on your post and being public? I do not have that conviction. Like just total honesty. And here's the thing, I don't share a ton like on a daily basis with my kids. And if you've been following me for a while, I've kind of changed that. Like I don't share as much of my kids on social media. I still do sometimes. I don't have that what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say fear because I don't want it to make it sound like that's a fear of yours. That is just not something that is a worry to me right now. If it was, I would change that. And I think that you have to make that decision based on your own gut feeling, conviction, whatever that is. But you could also, if you decide to go public, just don't share any stuff with your kids in it. If that's something that doesn't feel right to you, just, don't do that. Yeah, and you could totally do a business account and just kind of, well, I must be a thirst trap. Block the weirdos every day. Yeah, you guys, I don't really struggle with it. So I don't know, Allison, you must be posting like some really hot pics, or those of you that are getting these. I mean, Mallory said she's doing a ton every day. Like, I don't know. I don't have that issue. I used to in the past get a lot of creeps, but I don't anymore. And I mean, I'm posting stuff in my sports bra and workout stuff. So it's not like I'm like the most, modest. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not the most modest person on social media, but I don't get, where I get the most creeps, you guys? Freaking Voxer. Voxer. Anybody else getting all these Voxer creeps? Like, what? All these random middle-aged men are sending me messages on Voxer. And I'm like, bro, here? Why? Okay, so I'm not the only one. Okay, Heather, you said the same thing. I get more creeps on Voxer. Yes, like what? Why? Anyway, okay, back to what we were talking about. Okay, we talked about trending audio. Another thing that I will do, and again, like, because the way that Instagram is set up and notifications and stuff, it's not like you get this big like highlighted thing about when you get new followers. I mean, there is the notification, but I don't feel like it's big and bold and catches your attention. So once a week, I will just go through my followers, because if you have a good chunk, you're going to get people who come and go. Your numbers are going to fluctuate a little bit, but I will just go through my like on my little followers tab and keep scrolling through to make sure that if there's new people there, I'm also following them. So like I'm on there right now actually, and there's like 15 people here who have started following me in the last like 2 weeks, and I'm actually not following them. So that's one thing I'm going to go through, make sure that I'm following all these new people. I mean, these are people whose names I kind of recognize. Like one girl, I'm like, oh yeah, I met this girl at the gym. This other girl, I went to college with her. How she found my page recently, I don't know, but I'm going through and doing that right now. I'm trying to think what else. I wasn't going to go through the whole like highlights and how to read all that business stuff, because that's stuff that you can just play around with on Instagram anyway. I think that's kind of all I had to share with you guys tonight. Any questions? I know we've kind of been posting a lot of questions in the chat, but does anyone have any other questions? I mean, if you guys have like serious social media questions, I would reach out to Alana or Jamie, because I utilize my social media to grow my business. And that's the other thing I was going to say too. Okay, here, if you have new people on your Instagram, I am not afraid to reach out right away and like ask them about Arbonne. And it's not like, like I said, when someone chooses to follow you, you should have Arbonne like in your profile. Like it should list that you are somehow involved or business or something that says like you have a business, you do something with health and wellness, Arbonne, something at all. So they know when you're going to the page, okay, this chick offers something like that. So it's not going to be a total surprise if you reach out to them. I send a lot of samples, you guys, and I know that some people don't do that and don't like to invest in it, or they have people pay for samples or pay for the shipping or whatever it is. I do send a lot of samples to people, you guys, because 9 times out of 10 when you ask someone to try something for free, they say yes. Everyone loves free stuff. Everyone. And they don't even care if you're a stranger. They want your free stuff. So if that's something that you're willing to do, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten product in people's hands that way, and it has turned into a new preferred client or even a business builder or something like that. So I know not everyone can do that, but here's the thing: is like you don't always have to send a bunch of stuff. Sometimes I go all out and I'm sending them multiple fizz, I'm sending them tea, green synergy, all the things. But sometimes all I'm doing them is sending them a greens and a fizz, and that's it. I mean, you could buy 1 box of fizz and 1 box of greens, and there's 30. And here's the thing, like she said, it's such an easy way to start the convo, and you're right there. And that way you've already done the Arbonne part. Okay. You still go back and build the relationship. You still go back and, start like following them, engaging, all that kind of stuff. But I literally, when someone new follows me, I'm always like, hey, what brought you here? Like, do I know you from X, Y, or Z? I'm actually putting together a bunch of fun sample packs for all my mamas. I'm sending my mama must-haves. Can I add you to the list? So it's super easy. And 9 times out of 10, or I'm like, where should I send? Can I send one to you? What's your address? Like, I'm so just upfront and bold with it. And so people are always like, oh yeah, I'll take something free. Sure. Send it my way. And I can't tell you every single time you get that return on investment and every single time someone turns into a client, but many, many more turn into clients by doing it that way. So that's just my other little 2 cents. Feel like that was it. Does anybody have any other questions? Like I said, I just wanted to keep this practical tonight, quick. I feel like you guys did a lot of that, like more of the planning and the work behind it last time. So this is more just like quick little tips and things I do on a regular basis. Okay. I think that's all. Thanks for being on, you guys.